starts with Jordan Love. Sign that contract. There's some stability there. He's just 26 years old. I know he was hurt. I know he didn't have a great year, but I still believe he belongs securely in round 3 of a dynasty startup. Saquon, I would be very, very tempted to trade away Saquon. I've talked about this before. I'm probably a little bit lower than some people on Saquon if I had to guess. I haven't really looked at anybody else's dynasty rankings. Kyron Williams is a stud. He's 24 years old. I know he gets by on volume, but it's a lot of volume, and I don't necessarily see that situation changing anytime soon because they took Blake Corum in round 3, and that didn't really affect his usage all that much. Then Caleb Williams, I have to believe with the hiring of Ben Johnson that they're going to improve that offensive line. He's gonna speed up his process. I do think that Ben Johnson is going to help Caleb Williams out a lot. In fact, there's a chance I move Caleb Williams up as we progress through the quote-unquote off-season because we know there's really no real off-season in Dynasty. Breece Hall, Rashee Rice, Kyler Murray, T. Higgins. And out of all these players, I think Kyler Murray is the one that I am just kind of done with. I put him about, like, if he was sitting there, I would be tempted by Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray to me just doesn't do it for me. I don't have any other way of saying it. I do recognize the rushing upside, but he doesn't really run as much as I would like him to, which is weird, but he still runs quite a bit. He still ranks, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. I should have these numbered better. I think that's 8th amongst quarterbacks in carries and rushing attempts. And you look at everything but passer rating versus zone. Everything's pretty good with Kyler Murray, but for some reason, it just feels like there should be more, like with somebody like Kyler Murray, now that he has Marvin Harrison Jr., and who knows, maybe it'll be better next year. But it's just, that's a player I just do not, I would trade him at this value, even if, though I have him ranked here, I'm just not a fan. And this is a part of a larger conversation, I think. Rankings are just a reference point for me personally, because we all know in Dynasty there's a multitude of strategies that you can employ. Win now, rebuild, more of a neutral approach. You could be, I've seen people go after picks and try to win now too, because they recognize, oh wait, if I take the pick, I don't necessarily have to make that rookie pick. I could trade that rookie pick, which I think is the ultimate strategy, just acquiring as much value as you can. If that means you're going to be a productive struggle, then fine, so be it. But you get the picture. There's all sorts of different avenues that you can go down, and when you're trying to put rankings together, and we're working on this right now, and this is just my baseline rankings. When you're putting rankings together, you should, account for all those different possibilities. So account for, have maybe different rankings for a productive struggle, win now. But, again, this is more of a baseline. And again, rankings are a reference point. They're not the end all be all for me, at least. I have them because, and I want to have them, and I think they're good to have. But it's not like Kyler Murray is above T. Higgins in my rankings, I must select Kyler Murray. It's not like that, at least not for me anyway. Feel free to share what you think in the comments. And I think out of all these players, Breece I think is still really good, has a chance to climb. I would be interested in buying Breece Hall, even though there's, again, a lot of uncertainty in that situation. But Rashee Rice, to me, we saw a snapshot of how Kansas City plans on using him, and he got hurt really early on in that 4th game of the season. And if you take the first 3 games, and I understand it's a small sample size, he averaged over 20 fantasy points a game, and that would put him amongst the elite wide receivers in fantasy. I was very tempted to move him up a tier, but I think this is appropriate considering where his value is right now. He is probably, if not my favorite dynasty buy, he's at the top of my list in terms of players that I want to have, because similarly to TJ Hawkinson last year, we're going to miss some time. He's coming off of an injury, but we know what the situation is. It's Patrick Mahomes. The only other receiver I believe they have under contract that of note is Xavier Worthy. I'd have to check Travis Kelce's contract. I'm assuming Kelsey's planning on being there, but you never know. So again, Rashee Rice has a pretty damn good situation in Kansas City, and he's only 24 years old, going to be 25. So playing with Patrick Mahomes, who's not even 30 years old yet, let that sink in for a minute. This tier starts out with Jonathan Taylor, RB8 overall, 26 years old. I do have some concerns about the ankle injury. He looked a lot better towards the end of this season. So again, it's a player I'm kind of meh on, a 26-year-old running back. I'm probably not super into buying or selling at this price. But I think he belongs in this tier at the very top of it. Then Rome Odunze, one of the players I like a lot, but I think a lot of people are going to like Rome Odunze this offseason. And then we have some quarterbacks, Michael Penix, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield. Michael Penix probably belongs below Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield because we've seen them do it before. Fun when you make changes and then you disagree with your own changes that you make. But anyway, so again, there's the quarterbacks. This group of quarterbacks. I would prefer. It's not the end of the world, but I would prefer one of these guys to be my quarterback 2 in a Superflex league if I drafted them. Not required, but that'd be my preference to get to lock down quarterback. Then we have some running backs: James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Bucky Irving. Not gonna lie, thought about moving Bucky Irving higher than this, and maybe I should. I don't know, because Bucky Irving, he just feels like an awesome player, and I don't necessarily know how long Rachaad White is going to be there. I know Rachaad White has another year left on his contract, but when you look at breakaway run rate, good, 6.7%. Red zone carries per game, 2.2, so he's getting opportunities in the red zone. Routes run per game, good, almost 12, 11.7. 52 targets this year, playing part-time. He's a really good player. And I don't have the courage to put him above James Cook or Kenneth Walker, but you can talk me into it. I like Bucky Irving a lot. And Xavier Worthy, then we have some receivers, Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers, and then Chase Brown and Josh Jacobs. I do believe Chase Brown, that's his backfield. He just feels like a really good fit in that offense. We'll see. It is kind of risky because they could draft a running back that would, especially if they draft one on day 2. Like if they take, I don't know, Travion Henderson or Amarian Hampton, that would kind of suck for Chase Brown, and it's very possible that they could do that. The Bengals have so many needs on defense. That would seem to be an illogical pick. There is a world where he is displaced from his role and his value could fall really quickly. And whenever that's the situation, I'm always kind of tempted to sell, but that would be my lean at least.